You're watching KSTP Channel 5, St. Paul, Minneapolis. And now, live from your 24-hour news channel, Angela Astor, Mark Sapelsa, meteorologist Dave Dahl, and Dr. Michael Breen. This is Eyewitness News, live at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wendy Lubavitch.
And I'm Randy Meyer. Mark Sapelsa and Angela Astor are off tonight.
Here are some of the stories we will bring you today on Live at 5. The new year brings a new tax on alcohol, and that's bringing big business to local liquor stores today. In Wisconsin, January 1st begins mandatory recycling. No more stoves, refrigerators, or batteries in landfills. And that old green bus carrying Paul WELLSTONE and his entourage has made it to Washington, D.C. Carolyn Bruchter is traveling with the senator-elect. She will join us live with a report in just a few minutes. But first, a busy day at area liquor stores.
And from the looks of it, a lot of people won't have to buy liquor for a long time. Lou Harvin joins us live from a Minneapolis liquor store where customers are stocking up like you wouldn't believe. Lou.
Randy, death and taxes, and it looks like taxes will win this latest round. We're here at the Liquor Depot in Minneapolis, and as you can see behind me, people are lined up. They've got several rows of people, more than in other years. People, what they're trying to do is beat the clock because of that big T word that's going to affect their lives for years to come. At first glance, it might look like a big sale on liquor, but it's not. People are coming in for two big reasons today: to stock up on spirits for parties tonight, and to stock up to get out of paying higher taxes next year. The Ubell family, for example, figure it's a good time to save.
Well, I guess it's time to stock up if we're going to be for the rest of the year, and for New Year's Eve tonight, too, I guess.
Rashad Carnes of Minneapolis says he might as well buy now, even though he doesn't plan to drink it right away.
Personally, myself, I'm not a big drinker, so, you know, I'm buying all the liquor now, though, for my bar at home. And it doesn't affect me that much.
Now, if you're not that much into alcohol, you're probably happy people will start paying as much as 50 cents more for a six-pack and as much as $2 more for hard liquor. And you might see fewer people drinking, at least for the first few weeks of the new year.
Well, one wine industry group predicts a drop of 10% in wine consumption. This always does, when you put taxes on, it does drop consumption. It did it before when liquor went up in '87.
Now, one of the managers told me last year at this time they were open until 10 o'clock, and they actually closed the doors at 10 minutes to 10, and they still didn't get everybody out of here until a quarter to 11. So with this new taxes, Happy New Year to you too, with the new taxes, people are probably going to be here all night. Now, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen to all of the bars around the Twin Cities after midnight tonight when the new tax goes into effect. Well, technically and legally, all the bar owners around town can start charging more money, a nickel, 10 cents, whatever, depending on the amount of alcohol after midnight. So if you're going to drink tonight, drink early, but do take it easy.
Lou, people seem to be in a good mood there. Kind of the holiday spirit pervades.
Oh, yeah, I think they're thinking about what they're going to do when they open a bottle. Yeah, they're all in a good mood here. But the funny part of this whole thing is a lot of people don't seem to mind the new tax. They say if they're going to drink, they're going to drink. Somebody has to pay the tax, so they might as well do it. So kind of surprising.
Lou, are people actually buying a whole year's worth of alcohol there?
You name it, whatever they can afford, they're buying. We saw one guy, he had about 7 bottles of J&B brandy. I don't know what he's going to do with it. He said he's not going to have a party tonight, and he's not an alkie, so he's going to stock it up. I don't know how long it'll last him.
All right.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
All right.
The State Patrol will be out looking for drunk drivers again tonight. Only because of budget problems, there won't be as big an army of troopers assigned to the roads. In previous years, the State Patrol has added as many as 50 extra officers on New Year's Eve. The federal government usually pays for the beefed-up patrols through grants, but this year the grant money hasn't come through, and the State Patrol says its budget can't handle all the extra overtime it would be required.
We've done some shift adjustments and changing some schedules, and we'll keep some people on overtime past their shift if need be, but we don't have a big major push as we may have had in some of the years past.
Last year in Minnesota, 275 people died in crashes involving drunk drivers. And if your New Year's celebration includes alcohol, remember there's a way to avoid drinking and driving. It's Sober Cab. You can get a free ride anywhere in the Hennepin, Dakota, and Washington County areas by calling this number, 588-2771. Free rides will be available until 3 tomorrow morning.
Police in Minneapolis raided 2 homes and have captured the 2 remaining suspects wanted for the weekend murder of a convenience store clerk. A 68-year-old man, David Audette, was gunned down early Sunday morning as he handed over money to 2 robbers armed with a shotgun. A 3rd person waited outside in a stolen car. Police arrested a 17-year-old suspect a short time later. Then late last night, authorities arrested 2 other suspects, aged 17 and 24, in their homes. Charges are pending. Minneapolis and St. Paul police are reporting some grim statistics on this day before the new year. 55 people have been murdered in Minneapolis in 1990. That compares to 53 people in 1989. The number of murders in St. Paul is also up over a year, 22 for 1990, 16 for 1989. That's a record for St. Paul. The old record was 21.
And turning now to the Mideast, where Vice President Quayle is bucking up the spirits of U.S. troops. Chatting with Marines and soldiers in Saudi Arabia today, Quayle told them they'll do their jobs, then they'll go home to their loved ones. Quayle is suggesting that job may be to attack Iraq. He's telling the troops the only message Saddam Hussein may understand is force. Also in the Mideast today, Iraq is increasing its military ranks. It's now ordering 17-year-old males to report for duty by January 10th. Iraq claims more than 4,200 people have died because of medical and food shortages brought on by the UN embargo. The health minister says half of the dead are children under 5. But some foreign diplomats are skeptical about those claims. One official says while babies are supposedly dying, truckloads of beer are arriving from Jordan.
Violence in the Middle East highlights other news from around the world. Israel has unleashed a deadly air attack on Lebanon. Fighter jets raided a Palestinian guerrilla base in southern Lebanon and killed all 12 rebels at the base. And in Israel, police say a woman who had been handling an explosive died with the bomb blew up in an outdoor market in Jerusalem. One police officer says the woman apparently intended to plant the bomb in a bag of vegetables and leave it in the street.
President Bush and Soviet President Gorbachev are exchanging New Year's greetings today. And Bush's message to, in his words, the wonderful people of the Soviet Union, he welcomes the Soviets as partners in the effort to force Iraq out of Kuwait. And on a personal level, he says he's thrilled about the warmth the countries have developed. And in a televised message to the American people, Gorbachev says February's superpower summit should lead to the removal of what he calls old obstacles still hampering U.S.-Soviet relations. Also in the New Year's message, the Soviet leader says the world should find strength to overcome another obstacle, Saddam Hussein's aggression in the Middle East.
The news from around America includes a fire and trouble with high winds. We begin in Louisiana, where a fire in a New Orleans hotel room forced the evacuation of 300 guests. You can probably guess by what these people are wearing that many of the guests are University of Tennessee fans. They are in town to watch their team play Virginia in tomorrow's Sugar Bowl game. And it looks as though they will still have a place to sleep tonight. All were allowed back inside after a couple of hours. In Boston, high winds are being blamed for damage at Logan International Airport this morning. The wind gusts scattered pieces of the roof of this freight and cargo building and blew out a windshield at a rental car return building. No injuries were reported, but at least one flight had to be canceled. Well, they brave below-zero weather, pouring rain, and breakdowns on that rickety old bus.
But this evening, Senator-elect Paul Wellstone, his family, and his supporters have reached their goal. They're in Washington, D.C., and that means Carolyn Brookter, who has been riding with them, is there also.
Carolyn,
Yes.
You made it. Congratulations. We were worried.
I know. We were worried, actually, for a little bit along the way because there were a few minor breakdowns. But as you can tell, right behind me, the Capitol. We made it. And our day started earlier today in Pittsburgh. We left Pittsburgh in snowy weather about 10 this morning. It was a routine ride until about 125 miles outside of Washington, D.C., when the bus had to be checked once again. After the once over, though, we were off again. 6 hours later, we hit the D.C. metro area where everyone hopped on the bus for the final leg of the trip. And as is typical, where there is WELLSTONE, there are crowds. And that was true when he arrived here in Washington, D.C.
I would like to dedicate this moment to my father, who was a Jewish immigrant from the Soviet Union, who is no longer alive, but who I'm absolutely sure knows that because of Minnesota, I'm now serving in the United States Senate.
You know, WELLSTONE was saying that it really hit him as we approach Washington, D.C., that he is actually becoming Minnesota's newest senator. Tonight, he'll have a night of rest on New Year's Eve, and then he'll start the new year out in his new home here in Washington, D.C.
Carolyn, when exactly is the swearing-in ceremony for the senator?
The swearing-in takes place on Thursday at noon. He will do a few things Thursday morning, and then he'll come here to the Capitol at noon. The officiating will go on by Vice President Dan Quayle. Then he'll come back outside where he'll have that green and white bus. He'll get on the back of the bus, and they'll redo the ceremony once again in WELLSTONE style.
Carol, I want to hear more about that bus. Was it really a nice camaraderie on board? I mean, you were on that thing for 3 days.
Yeah, it was. We talked about it earlier in other stories. It was cold, it was chilly, but it was a camaraderie. It was really very nice and very interesting because we got to know the senator-elect a little bit better. He got to know us. He said it was interesting to see us as media people not under stress, actually relaxed, but he really didn't know we were not relaxed. We were thinking about everything he said and thinking, that's going to be in my story at 5, 6, and 10.
Is the bus being put out to pasture now, Carolyn? It's certainly not going to make it back to Minnesota, is it?
Well, you know what? They said they would make it here, and now they're saying they're going to make it back to Minnesota. I know. Well, everybody said he couldn't do it, but they're going to try to make it back. We'll see.
All right.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Paul Wellstone's not the only new member of Congress heading to Washington on a bus. The new representative from the 7th District chartered this bus to carry his family and friends to the nation's capital. Colin Peterson and his entourage left Moorhead early today and stopped in St. Paul for lunch.
We're going to be in Elkhart, Indiana for New Year's Eve, so it's an interesting, going to be an interesting place to celebrate the new year.
The crowd expects to arrive in Washington tomorrow evening, and we'll be back with stories about the new year.
In Times Square, the people who control the New Year's ball are practicing for the big moment. The story coming up at 5:29.
And next, a new law for a new year. If you live in Wisconsin, watch what you do with those old refrigerators, stoves, and batteries.
Remember that one? He's a natural. Great timing, Joe.
Hey, that one takes me back.
I love watching my highlights.
Yeah, but what's funny is you're known as the hitter and baseball's greatest all-around player. What I remember is your pitching for Mr. Coffee.
The best I've ever tasted.
Nice delivery, Joe.
You know, back then, Mr. Coffee was the best-selling coffee maker, and it still is today, because it still makes a delicious cup of coffee. Mr. Coffee's still the first choice of coffee lovers.
We'd like to announce that Highland Superstores will be open on New Year's Day for the first time ever. From 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., hundreds of items will be marked down throughout the store, like this GE large capacity washer with 2 temperature settings for $197, or this Technique's 5-disc CD changer, just $177, and this RCA remote VCR with recording timer for just $188. Hurry to Highland's one-day New Year's sale, the sale that's hard to beat.
Some people have trouble finding the one job that's just right for them. Well, the job search just got easier with CityLine. CityLine's employment directory will tell you about the current opportunities with the Twin Cities' leading employers. All you need to do is make one free phone call.
Use a touch-tone phone to call 645-6060. When CityLine answers, press 5627. JOBS for the employment directory. CityLine, absolutely free, 24 hours a day.
I'm going to try to recycle more garbage and take the buses more often.
Well, that is one woman's New Year's resolution. We will bring you a couple of others later in our newscast. That kind of resolution is being made by everyone in Wisconsin today, and it's all because of a new law. Starting at midnight, all Wisconsin residents will be required to recycle several items that often end up in landfills.
In our Down to Earth segment, Jason Davis reports that, like it or not, if you live in Wisconsin, you will help to improve the environment.
They've always been tough to get rid of. Old and broken refrigerators, stoves, washing machines and dryers. Batteries full of toxic lead and corrosive acid that finally gave up the ghost one cold winter's morning. Well, come tomorrow morning, all Wisconsin residents will have to recycle these items. It'll be against state law to take them to the dump.
That's right, it's got to be done.
Garbage truck driver Chuck Kirsten works for Stromy Sanitation of Hudson, Wisconsin. He will collect appliances and batteries. About the only thing he and the other drivers won't pick up is used motor oil, another waste product that state residents will have to recycle come tomorrow.
Proving the adage that necessity is the mother of invention, the city of Hudson has had to get quite creative. Faced with a possible flood of used motor oil, they're urging their citizens to bring it here, to the city garage. Not for disposal or storage, they're going to use it.
Public Works Director Henry Paulson says a new furnace will do double duty for the city.
What we'll be doing now is greatly decreasing the cost of heating our city garage by utilizing the waste oil.
The new recycling laws in Wisconsin are designed to take care of a huge problem. Each year, state residents throw out 500,000 used appliances, nearly 5 million gallons of oil, and a couple of million batteries.
The new recycling laws may be expensive and inconvenient, but as the Wisconsin DNR points out, it saves landfill space, recovers raw materials, and in the end, it's good for our environment. Jason Davis, Channel 5 Eyewitness News in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Minnesota passed similar laws governing the recycling or disposal of appliances, batteries, and used oil earlier this year.
Still ahead on the Eyewitness News Health Capsule.
We'll have some tips for New Year's revelers, but first, the New Year's Eve forecast. Will we be doing some of this tomorrow? Dave Dahl's back from vacation, and he joins us in just a minute.
In addition to these great English classics, let us not overlook this one, shepherd's pie. Now, Perkins family restaurants are offering this traditional English casserole of beef and vegetables, topped with mashed potatoes, as well as our fresh-baked turkey pot pie. So join us at Perkins. And if you're looking for some good reading, there's always our menu.
This is the winter wonderland of value on the Oldsmobile 88. During this special event, save up to $1,750 on every 88 in stock. Get the 88's famous comfort with room for 6 adults. Get lots of space and great mileage too. Then get guaranteed satisfaction with the Oldsmobile Edge. The winter wonderland of value. It won't last long. See your new generation of Oldsmobile dealer today.
Here comes the bride, and there goes the wedding. This bride wore white and packed a pistol, bouquets and bullets at the wildest wedding ever, guns and roses. And Jake said he caught his wife with another man, so he had her arrested. A divorce story unlike any other, the real-life War of the Roses.
Tonight at 6:30 on Channel 5.
I'm going to quit smoking. I'm not going to eat any sweets during Lent. And I'm going to start running.
Another New Year's resolution from a St. Paul man. I'm not sure he was sure about that last one.
I'm not sure either, but if he lived in Ohio or Indiana, he might be resolving to move to higher ground. That's because in parts of Indiana, high waters are forcing hundreds of people to flee their homes. Flood emergencies have been declared in 4 counties, including Elkhart County near Indianapolis. So far, 550 people have been evacuated. And in Ohio, a weekend of rain and melting snow is causing flash flooding across sections of the state. This is what it looks like in Columbus, where 1990 will go down as the wettest year on record for that city.
No melting going on here, I'll tell you that. Still cold today.
Still cold. However, the temperature is going to do one of those backwards, upside-down things. Tonight it's going to actually climb up. We're going to be in the lower 20s by tomorrow morning, so you might want to stay out just for that if you don't want to stay out and party.
How was your vacation?
It was great. We actually flew through some of that bumpy weather down in Columbus, Ohio, down through Cincinnati, actually, and we had some icing to deal with as the plane was coming down, but lots of weather through the eastern part of the country last night. Heavy rain for a lot of folks, but for those folks heading out to do some, have some fun tonight, do some partying for the New Year's, bringing in the New Year. Looks like it's going to be dry throughout much of the country, from East Coast to the West Coast. The only problems down in the southeast, still some rain showers across North Florida. From there, it stretches down to about the southern part of Texas, but all that activity gradually drifting off to the south and east. So, as you can see, cold and dry throughout most of the country, unusually cold for this time of the year. As a matter of fact, we've had some record cold. However, tonight, we have one of those famous Alberta Clippers. It's going to come streaking southeastward, and as it does so, it's going to lift up some warmth. That'll push it up across Minnesota, cause our temperatures to actually climb up overnight tonight, but then fall down again tomorrow. We're going to have temperatures going down to about 15 to 20 below for overnight tomorrow night. But outside at the airport right now, we don't have anything in the way of snow occurring yet close by. 12 above for our temp, or 2 points at 4 above. 70% for the relative humidity, a southeast breeze at 8. That's enough to create a wind chill on exposed flesh of 1 below 0. And 30.15 is the barometric pressure. That is falling. We do have a cloudy sky out there, but it was kind of a pretty day today with all the sunshine that we had to go out and play a little bit of hockey. This is what was being done today in Minneapolis. Even though temperatures were cold, not nearly as cold as what it has been, so it actually seemed kind of warm today. We're expecting to see the temperatures warm up again tomorrow. As I said, here comes the Alberta Clipper right out of southern Canada, and as it streaks through the upper Midwest, spreading clouds out ahead of it. Those clouds are covering up much of the southern part of our sky tonight, but then back across the Dakotas and into eastern Montana, a little bit of snow is occurring. That will probably start up after midnight. So if you are planning to be traveling out on the roadways tonight after about 11, 12 o'clock, we could have some slippery conditions developing then, but it looks like the more significant snow is going to be up in northern Minnesota and probably hold off until the early morning hours. Forecast map for tomorrow still shows some light snow and flurries across the southern half of our state and across western Wisconsin, but then clearing and colder. High pressure is going to build in from the north. That light snow extends all the way back out through the northwest. If you have some folks vacationing right now down across Florida, well, it's going to be raining tomorrow. They've had record heat for the last 3 to 4 days, but they're going to have showers stretching all the way from the southern parts of the Gulf of Mexico right up across South Florida. Much more in the way of moisture across South Florida for the next several days, as a matter of fact, and it will be cooler for them as well. Lots of cool air is going to be from coast to coast. The forecast for overnight tonight here in the metro calls for a mostly cloudy night. Light snow and flurries developing after midnight, 5 to 10 above, southeast winds at about 10 to 15. That'll create wind chills of anywhere from about 5 to 15 below, so not bad. Light snow and flurries tomorrow morning. Waking up at about 18 degrees for those of you that do wake up. For tomorrow afternoon, we're expecting to see partly sunny, windy, and colder. Falling temps for those of you that wake up in the afternoon. Probably won't see those 20s in the morning, but we will have temperatures in the single digits by late in the afternoon. For Tuesday night, we're going to have a mostly clear but cold 15 to 20 below, and the outlook for Wednesday calls for a nice day with mostly sunny skies.